I was wondering, how do you select your guests? Because you have had very interesting guests in your podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just personal preference.
Okay.
You know, you said you read a lot of books.
Yeah.
So I also read books, but I wouldn't say a lot, but I read books. That means you have a really good perspective of how you want. Let's say if you're speaking about money,
Yeah.
you have a good perspective. And honestly, there are a lot of people in the social media that speak about that topic and all that. So
Yeah.
it's just my personal preference. Like
Okay.
currently, I'm really interested in learning about finance, learning about the brain, the human brain, and the psychology of the human as well. So it's mostly what I prefer to hear from people and how interesting is the guest to me.
Okay.
And I've never asked out there, like, who can I have for a guest?
Yeah.
Tried it once, it didn't work well. But yeah, currently I'm just making guests based on what I prefer.
Yeah. Don't you steal guests from other people? Because there's this one podcast, I won't mention the name.
Yeah.
Whenever we do a podcast with a guest, the next thing we see that they have the guest on the podcast. And the worst thing, they even try and steal our viewers.
Oh, how?
Because when you go to YouTube and search MOD podcast, the podcast comes first as an ad.
Or they even advertise themselves.
Yeah, using our keyword.
Shit.
That's crazy,
wow,
man.
That's really crazy. I mean, I don't steal guests, but I appreciate a podcast.
Yeah.
and get a guest from that podcast.
Okay.
And I think we can have the same guest but have really different conversations. Because the good thing with podcast is that how the conversation goes depends with how the hosts ask the questions.
Yeah.
So you have a different perspective, I have a different perspective.
Yeah.
How you'll shape this conversation will be different from when I go to a different podcast.
Sure.
So I feel like I don't steal, but I borrow. I mean, I feel like I'm inspired by, this guy's had a really good guest this week and had a really good conversation, but I have like these extra questions I would like for this guy to answer. So yeah, that's how I usually do it, but I don't steal. But that's crazy. I mean, advertising on a different keyword? Wow.
I was so surprised that day. I was like, okay, let me search for a podcast. And then the first podcast was not even our podcast. And I was like, this is an ad. What is this guy trying to do? But that's very smart.
I mean, what I'm saying is, but that should be a really good sign to you guys. That you're doing something good to the point that someone wants your guest to be their guest.
Our viewers to be their viewers.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
You're
man.
inspiring them.
Yeah, that's crazy. Finding guests is a very difficult job.
Exactly.
Just people don't just know that they just say guests come here, but it's not easy. And you said you are alone, doing it alone, man. How do you manage like shooting, editing? Because me these days I don't edit.
Yeah.
But editing one episode used to take me like
Oof.
10 hours plus.
Oof. Well, that's the hardest thing, and I never thought it would be that hard when I was just having the concept of I'll start a podcast.
Yeah.
It was just crazy.
So how do you do it, man? How do you manage to do all those things like shoot yourself, edit yourself, market yourself, post yourself, find guests, and then do other stuff as well?
As you said earlier, that you should start from where you are, you know, and don't make excuses. I think that's what I think. I mean, at this point, it's more like I like doing it.
Okay.
And I'm really grateful for the guests that I have, because at my setup, what I usually do is I have like a setup similarly to here, but I have like an adapter that I connect to the TV.
Okay.
So I could see all the screens from in front.
Okay.
Yeah, so sometimes I might be asking you a question, but you as a guest see it. You'll be the one telling me like, yo, I think it's off. So I appreciate the guests understand that it's not the best experience for them, but they understand that this is a starting point for them. So yeah, that's how it goes. I do it everything because I believe in what I'm doing, if that makes sense. And how I manage is I usually edit 10 hours. I think that's when you're starting. Right now for me, I would say it takes me 3 hours to edit like a full video.
Okay.
And it's not like you're cutting a lot of parts, so it's usually not that hard. the short clips for Instagram, that's the hard one.
Yeah.
And I usually spend my Saturdays, Sundays, and Friday evening doing this. And that's why I usually release one episode in 2 weeks so that I can have more time to like work on editing and all that type of thing. But when it comes to shooting, I'm in Dar, and if you're a guest right now, I don't think if it's a hard thing just to turn on and turn off the camera. Yeah.
And how much money do you make for all that effort that you're doing, man?
Currently, I make a loss actually. I make a loss, and the only monetization strategy that is available currently is the YouTube AdSense, and obviously you know how much you make from YouTube AdSense.
Yeah.
Man. So I wouldn't say I make anything from this podcast. It's just the fact that I get to meet new people, the networks, and all that. Yeah.
You know, it's very bad that people don't appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
You find yourself doing all that just to share knowledge with others, and still some people will just come and insult you.
Exactly. Bro, the craziest comment that I got, someone said I was gay. But the thing is, they never turned me off because, like, what I believe is that at least you listened. I wanted to comment to that dude, at least a gay person gave you knowledge today, you know? But I never entertain negative comments. Nowadays, I don't answer negative comments. I only answer the comments that I feel like it requires me to answer them, you know? Yeah, and all that. And I usually find positive from negatives. Yeah, that's how it goes.
You know, what people don't understand, you know, most people, they don't know about the algorithm. The algorithm likes comments.
Yeah.
If someone comes to my short, let's say, or a YouTube video and comments, even if it's an insult, I'm always happy about it because, I need engagements.
Every engagement is a good engagement.
Yeah, at least you said something. At least I know you're watching.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. You listened to me. Even if you had the negative, but you still listened.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's very, very, very good. And when you talked about not making anything, how much have you spent so far?
Wow, a lot, bro.
Yeah.
I can't say the figures because it's not like I spent it once. It's usually obviously spread. You'd buy this. I started with one camera with the collar mics. Then it came a second camera. So I can't like give you an exact figure, but it's 10M plus.
Wow.
I would say that.
Wow.
For sure.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm from Arusha. Most of my guests are in Dar, so I usually rent a place to shoot.
Yeah.
So you could just say it's a recurring cost as well.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. But
yeah, very crazy.
Yeah, as long as you're enjoying it, you reach far.
I mean, honestly,
if not, you would have quit right now.
I have thought about that a couple of times, but it's just the fact that I've reached too far to quit, you know? I'll be letting down a lot of people who are already learning a lot right now. Yeah.
And one thing I've noticed about this content industry is for you to make it far, you have to be obsessed. Like, you have to, every day, like, this thing, I have to make it happen.
Exactly. You have to think of new strategies.
Every single day. Otherwise, man, you won't get anywhere.
That's true, man. That's really true, bro.
Consistent only does not matter. The obsession that you're going to have, like, I have to do this thing.
You know, when you're consistent, it's just that you'll post for the sake of posting.
Yeah.
But when you're obsessed, you literally find to make sure it's top quality, top guests.
Yeah.
So I feel like, obsession, that's really true. You need to be obsessed with what you're doing.
Yeah. And why do you think people come to watch Tips podcast? What do they come for?
Currently, I feel like they come to watch for because of the buzzwords or the short contents that we usually make. And I feel like, the guests that we have, because I'm not going to say that Tips has already made a huge brand, that someone wakes up and like, yo, today Tips uploaded a video, let's go watch it.
Yeah.
But it's the guests that we bring. They recognize them, they know them maybe. And even though we're trying to create a platform where we make people confident that whenever a new episode is out, they'll learn something that they didn't know before.
Yeah.
But I feel like, the major reason is that people come there because of the buzzwords, let's say the thumbnail, the title, or they saw a short in Instagram using the algorithm and all that. So I feel like that's the reason. Yeah.
You know, I'm asking all this because there are a lot of people who come to me and ask me, how do I start podcasting? So you coming here today, I think will have answers for a lot of people who want to get into this industry. So yeah, if you want to be a podcaster like Carlton here, just keep watching. I'm sure you'll enjoy a lot because I have a lot of questions.
I can't wait to hear them.
Yeah. There's this guy you did an episode with. I think he works in a company that deals with shares and stocks and stuff like that.
Salum?
I think that's him. So that episode was very nice as well, and I saw that it went viral.
It's literally my top performing episode till today.
Okay, so what's your most memorable episode, and why?